JMS Free Music.
Back again with another video, and this one is not something I had anticipated doing several days ago, but then 2 nights ago I happened to hit the Plugin Boutique website. Hadn't been there in a while. The website that I've bought from before. Here we go. And I happened to notice they had a new synth, or at least one I didn't remember having seen on the site previously, Carmen Electra. Yes, this is a play on words on the name you're probably thinking. But this synth, something about it just jumped out at me, just visually. And being a visually oriented person, that's kind of important for me. I think the thing that really jumped out at me most was the number of screens on this. But we can come back to that shortly. Then I noticed it's only $99. Thought, okay, let's take a closer look. So started looking at some of the features in it and thought that was pretty interesting. So I decided to, go and see what other people were saying about this synth because I had never heard of Carbon Electra. So hit YouTube, and the first video I found was this review here by Computer Music Academy. It's a little over 20 minutes long, which I thought was a little lengthy, but it was lengthy with a purpose. Uh, the person reviewing Carbon Electra spends a good chunk of time just going through some of the random presets that are in Carbon Electra. There's over 600 presets, so there's no way he was going to do all 600, obviously. But just the ones that he did, some of the stock ones that are factory sounds, and also some of the sounds created by some well-known names, like Carl Cox, for example, they just blew me away. I was just absolutely impressed, and clearly so was he. I mean, he was apparently testing this for the first time while doing this recording. Part of the video also, he does an overview of what everything, how it all functions, and also does some sound design at the end. And that was when I really realized this is a must-have synth, at least for me. I am not a newcomer to synths by any means. Um, but I'm also certainly far from a super advanced user. If anything, I would say I'm probably on the low end of the intermediate range. Massive has been my go-to synth for about a year or so, but this just might well replace Massive as my go-to. So anyways, here's a larger, closer look at Carbon Electra. And for visually oriented people like me, and also for newcomers to synths, this probably makes a lot more sense than many of the other synthesizers out there. Basically, all the functionality is right there, almost in your face. It has these windows so you can see exactly what's happening to your sound, so you don't have to try to guess what's happening with your ears. You can actually see it as well. And those two things together, I think, make this a great synth for people who are just getting started working with synths, at least with soft synth, like this. So, anyways, just real quickly, a quick overview. Here's where you load up your settings, and there's 128 places where you can put in your own settings. Create your own sounds, drop them in here, tweak them, resave them to the same spot, save variations to different locations. You have 128 banks that you can, or slots you can set to. You can see I've already made 3 here myself, plus a number of factory settings, 4 sequences or ARPs or however you want to call it, 3 sets of basses, 3 sets of leads, 2 sets of pads, keys, chords, chord sequences, gated motions, 2 sets of effects, and there's also in the PDF a tutorial section. There's the actual manual that explains how it all works, and there's a tutorial that takes you through it step by step. These are the sounds that go with the tutorial section of the PDF file that comes with it. And as I mentioned, various well-known names that have put together some sounds with this. Carl Cox, I mentioned, Dom Kane, a number of names in here, Mike Huckabee, for example. Um, some really excellent sounds. And just real quick, just to show a couple of these, let's try Steak Dagger. Not a bad sound. I could see myself working with that one. Let's try a sequence. I'm just picking some stuff here at random. So as you can see, that makes good use of the step sequencer here down here at the bottom. Some of the artist presets, Carl Cox. Let's try sub-level. Nice. Nice, very nice indeed. And as you can tell, as I mentioned before, you can see everything that's happening with your sound. Uh, this window's for the amp section, so you can see your attack, decay, sustain, release, your ADSR. Same down here, except this is for your modulation. Filter, or excuse me, in the mixer here, you see what's happening to the waveform itself based on these 4 oscillators, the amount of each oscillator that you're using. You notice this sound only uses 3 because there's no sound coming here from oscillator 4. Also, noise is off from this one, but that's an option. Plus, these can all be impacted by other things as well within the sense. So you can see what's happening. If I just tweak something here, you can see in real time the changes that are being made. So very, very useful. And then the filter section down here, which includes cutoff, resonance, keyboard tracking, and modulation envelope. You can see as you make those changes down there, and as the synth is playing, you can see what's happening here in this window. Absolutely impressive, in my opinion. Um, then there's the various onboard effects here, which are pretty good as well. I really like the chorus on here. The delay is pretty good also. Um, Not so much a fan of distortion just in general, but if you are, it's here as well. Equalizer, the one knock I have against this is there's no frequency selection for the bass. It's just simply bass, whereas mid and high you can change both the gain and the frequency. But that's not a big thing because you can always use a third-party plug-in on the back end of the synth to do your EQ if you need to. And the step envelope is really flexible, up to 16 positions, and within each slot you can change the actual setting for that slot as well. So you can get some really interesting some really interesting patterns going. And you can have those applied to the amplitude or the cutoff, or even the pitch as well. So yeah, all either simultaneously or individually, however you want to do it. Plus, the synth has a built-in limiter as well if you toggle this on, which can be a lifesaver. If nothing else, that's one less plugin to throw into your effects chain on top of the synth as you're doing your creation, or if you're using this in an actual DAW as you're doing your actual mixing. So, yeah, I was just very, very impressed with the synth overall. And over the past, well, a little more than 48 hours now, let me mute this group. I have been working with the synth a bit, trying to get to understand it a bit better. And I say a bit better, but it did not really take that long to understand this synth. And it's not just because I have some synth experience, it's because this synth is that well laid out, in my opinion. And being able to, again, be able to see what's happening with the sound also helps me a lot as a visually oriented person. But anyways, yeah, as I showed earlier, I've done some of my own sounds. So I've layered one of those here with some of the stock factory sounds that came with the synth. So real quickly again, here's what I've got after about 48 hours or so with the synth. And it's probably not going to win any awards or anything, but hey. Um, so just real quick to show what I've got here. The bass sound is one of the factory sounds, is the Juno bass. Nice sound. Very, very beautiful sound, actually, in my opinion. Pump, this is, uh, whoops, here we go. Pump is, I believe, the first or maybe second sound that I did myself with the synth. And so here's what this sounds like. And you'll notice there's nothing happening down here with the step sequencer. Uh, it's not being used at all. So this the the pumping effect comes from other aspects of the synth. But as you can see here, I'm using this within Machina, of course. You can see here, it's just straight chords. So, so nothing particularly outrageous, I don't think. And here's a string sound, and this is one area where if there's a downfall, excuse me, if there's a downfall with the synth, this might be it. I just generally like string sounds, and there really aren't a whole lot, at least in the factory settings. Selena string, there is one. See, they're both in the pads. There's the Selena string, uh, and then in the pad 2 section, wide analog string, and I could have sworn there's a third in here somewhere. It might be in the artist section, but that's it. Not a whole lot of string sounds. That's okay. I mean, that's minor compared to everything else you get with this synth, in my opinion. Here's what the Selena string sounds like. And again, that's one of the factory sounds. And then I also utilized a factory sound for the lead. This is the ultra lead. Nice, beautiful sound, very rich, I think. And as you can see, I've also added some other processing to just about, yeah, to all of these, um, just to get the individual sounds to all mesh together better. This is clearly not a full project. I doubt this will ever become a full project, but just for messing around a little bit for the first time with the synth, I think this came out pretty well. So, again, this is Carbon Electra, available over at Plug-in Boutique. It's only $99, and to be honest, I think this is worth more than Massive was when I bought it. Uh, it, it's that good in my opinion. Now, I will say the one thing that Massive has that I kind of miss in this, and I say this just because I've been using Massive so heavily over the past year or so, is the very flexible routing of being able to, for example, let me go back to here, take out Carbon Electra and put in Massive. Here we go. So one of the things that I love about Massive is being able to take an LFO, for example, and assign it to just about anything in the synth. Even assign the same LFO to multiple areas. Yet that is really powerful as well. I kind of missed that in Carbon Electra. Would be nice to have, but again, what you do get with Carbon Electra, there's so much there, but it's all right in front of you. It's all very easy to grasp onto. And it's really almost a no-brainer to work with it and make the sounds that you're looking for. So anyhow, that's just my quick 2 cents about it. I plan to spend some time over this long holiday weekend working with the synth a bit more, maybe get a full project or two out of it. We'll see what happens. Love to hear what other people are doing with Carbon Lector as well. So if you grab a copy of the synth as well and start doing some stuff with it, please let me know. I'd love to hear it.
JMS Music.